everyone, welcome back to Blind Inspiration Cast, Colleen's Seeing Eye Dog vlog. Next to me here is Joplin. She's laying on her stuffed toy. It is a dragon. Coolest thing ever. So in this episode, I'm going to be bathing Joplin with the help of Cheryl. Giving your dog a bath is an important thing, and a lot of people have many different tips and stuff like that, but this is how I do it. We kind of wrangle Joplin into the bathroom. Here we've got Cheryl shutting the bathroom door, and we kind of trap her inside, and then you gotta try and lure her into the tub with kibble. She is a food-driven golden retriever lab mix, so she eventually puts her front paws in the bath with me standing in there, and I'm feeding her kibble, but she hasn't put her back half in. So then Cheryl has to help her back end into the tub. Lots of praise party, and awards for getting into the tub. And at this point, we remember that Mommy is blind because I try to give the kibble to her butt. And I'm informed that her head is on the other side of me. I'll often try and put her harness on her butt, or her, just because I've got the wrong end of the dog. In the apartment we live in, the bathtub we have is separate from the shower, which is nice because it makes it easier to stand up in there and to bathe Joplin, and I don't have to try and fit her in a glass box of shower. However, it does mean that the bathtub does not have a flexible shower head to wash with. So she originally got baths where we would fill mixing bowls with water and dump them on her. And that wasn't very efficient. So I bought something called a rinse-a-roo, which is this plastic hose, and basically one side of it is like a silicone tube, and you put that over the faucet, and then the rest of it connects to a hose, and you can turn the water on and it turns the water flow into a hose. So you can't do full water pressure of a bathtub, but it is a lot easier to have a mobile hose device to give a bath. I've got my supplies ready on the side of the tub. Shampoo, conditioner, and the hose is all ready to go. So getting her all wet. And then I put the shampoo down her back and I lather it up. I like to lather really well. Joplin is a retriever lab, so she's very soft, but does have a lot of hair. So want to make sure I get all in the rough and the curlies on the back. And then when you rinse, I want to make sure that I get all of the soap out. You do not want any kind of soap staying, because otherwise any dog can get hot spots, which is basically like a scabby area, really irritated area that will appear because there was, some kind of chemical or soap or something left on them. Normally when I start baths, because dogs' paws get the dirtiest, so I put Epsom salts in the bottom of the bath, and then I fill it a little bit with water, making sure the drain is still closed. And then once the dog gets in my case Joplin gets in, while I'm doing the initial rinse and the initial shampoo, her feet are soaking in the Epsom salts a little bit, and then I will drain the tub and then continue the bath with the tub drained. Helps a little bit with the yeast if they get yeasty feet or super gross paws. Another thing to remember about shampooing and doing conditioner is don't miss any spots. You are their person and they are your responsibility. So you have to wash their tail and their butt and their legs and belly and everything. Don't miss any spots. Another important factor for Joplin is the temperature of the water. She is very, very picky. Find a temperature of water that your pet will enjoy. They do not need hot showers like you might enjoy yourself. So make sure that you kind of have a tepid, maybe warm. In this case, I used cool water because it's been very, very, very hot outside here in California. So, kind of wanted to give a nice, refreshing bath. At some point, I have Cheryl pull the drain officially, and the water starts draining. And in Joplin's case, her hair clogs the drain very, very quickly. So, as we're going with the bath, Cheryl is also clearing clumps of hair away from the water when it stops draining, kind of putting it to the side. When you get done with the shampoo, you're kind of halfway there, so it's time for more kibble. Cheryl has now become the tub bodyguard with kibble and basically giving Joplin love and scratches to be like, stay in the tub now. Also, for most pets, you do not need to fill the bathtub with water. Like I said, I just fill it a little bit so she can soak her paws for a little while. But especially with, at least in my training with Seeing Eye Dog, you don't want to fill up the tub and put them in the water. It'll just end up being a very big mess. Especially now that I've moved to California, I use a lot of conditioner because I don't want her skin to dry out, and it keeps her fur, soft and not brittle or, splitting the ends or anything like that. Plus, she comes out looking like she's got a little finger waves on her back, like a stylish 20s dog. It's pretty good. There is dry shampoo out there. I do not use that, and I don't know what breed of dog that is good for, but I generally just do standard bath. I use a sensitive skin, sort of very plain oatmeal shampoo for Joplin, and then the conditioner I use is the Furminator. I'm not being paid to say that or anything, I just really like it. Oftentimes, Joplin wants to get out, or she'll put her head down or put it over the side of the tub. The thing is, you don't want to get any water in their face or their nose. So, like with Joplin, I legitimately put my hand under her muzzle and like face up, and I'll put a little bit of water, kind of at the top of her head and under her chin. But I don't want the water getting into her ears or straight up washing her face, like where her eyes and her nose are. You don't need to do that. That's more of like a wipe it down afterwards. You don't want to be soaking their face. Once you have really gotten the conditioner, especially in all the places where there is a lot of hair, it might be coarse or they have sensitive skin, things like that. Rinse everything off. So I take the time with the hose to really dig my fingers in and every single area, make sure there's no soap anywhere. And now I have a sopping wet, if clean, furry creature. Now I can bathe Joplin by myself. It is possible, but it is always, always really nice to have a buddy when you are bathing a dog or any creature. Um, Basically, have one person doing the washing and the other person making sure they don't leap out of the tub or shake too soon and get soap and fur everywhere. So it's always nice to have someone on kibble watch, keep them in the tub and making sure that everything sounds like it's super fun. Part of the reason why I groom Joplin every day and why I bathe her possibly more than other people might bathe their dogs is because she's my seeing eye dog. She's a guide dog. She goes everywhere with me. So she is on the floor of restaurants and airports and subways and buses and boats and trains. And I don't limit my travel as someone who's blind. So she goes everywhere with me. And it is really good for her to, for her health, to make sure that she's not constantly covered in the world, especially now with coronavirus and the pandemic. You know, you can't really go anywhere, but when I take her for walks and I come back in, I do wipe her down pretty good and always wipe her paws. Just again, because it's like washing our hands, trying to make sure that she's safe and clean. Joplin puts her head over the side of the tub as if she's like, I can't even look. I can't look at this. I'm gonna drown if I don't keep my head out of this tub. Everything's terrible forever. Also, as someone with a legitimate service animal, I am an ambassador, basically, setting a good example for what it means to have a dog who is working and truly bonded with their person and we're working as a team. So Joplin's bath misery is nearly complete at this point. Again, she likes to stick her head over the side just so while I'm trying to rinse her, the water gets everywhere. Also, try and prevent the dog from shaking. Again, Joplin likes to shake early and just get soap all over or just the water all over. So the important thing is to make sure they rinse, but I try and keep my hand on her back so she doesn't shake the water everywhere all over the bathroom. Cheryl helping me stop the full-blown shake. And I briefly touched on it before, but I do her face last. And again, that's just kind of the top of her forehead. I tilt her head back and kind of run the water that way, and then under her chin. I don't really pour it over her muzzle or her eyes, because I'll be doing a lot of toweling off in a few minutes. Another thing to prepare ahead of time would be a lot of towels. You want to have towels ready to go, your shampoo, your conditioner, and treats of some kind. But again, I can't stress enough the towels. Especially if you have a medium size or large dog, just so many towels, lots of towels. Her fur just maintains the water to the point where basically what I do after the bath is squeeze out like her jowls and her ears, and I just like kind of squeegee her off just with my hands, trying to squish as much water as I can out of the fur. And then I take a towel and put it over her head and then just kind of run the towel down her body, doing as much scrubbing with the towel as I can and wiping her paws and things like that, trying to prevent her from shaking to get that initial just sopping wet Joplin, attempting to not block up the drain and just so much hair and so many towels. Don't forget the tail, don't forget the butt. And she's fully capable of hopping out of the bath by herself. And toweling off is Joplin's favorite thing. So basically the last part of this video is you guys getting to see Joplin just flip out and just flop all around like a fish on the deck of a ship, just slamming down on her side and rolling around and slamming down on her back and going back and forth and wiggling, and then her tail's wagging the whole time, and then she dive bombs into the towel that you have. I call this when a dog's flipping out and not freaking out, but like just, I gotta run laps, ma, is the zoomies. And so we have luckily a little courtyard that's enclosed right outside of our door within the building. And so Joplin, flops and wiggles, her job flops. And then we open the door and she's able to do just zooms out in the courtyard, just running full tilt and figure eights around these flower beds. So with her toys scattered about, she shoves off of the couch into the ottoman and then shoves off the ottoman into the couch. She's moving the furniture around, wiggling like crazy, and almost knocking Cheryl's computer off of the desk. The funny thing about these like somersaults is that basically she kind of puts her head on the ground, and then it's like she's gonna flop her whole body over her head and land on her back. But she looks more like me in gymnastics as a kid, where they were like, Colleen, do a somersault. And I was like, okay. And I could put my hands down and put my head down like doing a tripod or whatever. But anytime I went to flip my body over, I would always go to the side barrel roll. And so I just ended up like on my head and then just barrel roll. And so Joplin kind of puts her head on the ground and almost does a somersault and then kind of turns to the side and just falls. And then she just wiggles around, choosing to dry herself off on the only carpet we have in the apartment. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the silliness of my dog. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like me to do more sort of doggy maintenance type stuff, I can do that. I can do a grooming episode. I do brush her and brush her teeth and clean her ears and trim the nails and all that stuff. So let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. You can find me on Twitter @InspirationCast, or you can email blindinspirationcast@gmail.com. And Joplin and I, she's bored with you now. Joplin and I will see you next time. Don't forget to click the thumbs up and subscribe so you can be notified when I post new videos. Okay. Yeah, stretchy, stretchy.
You decided to f*** off?
Thanks for hitting the light. Okay, go see Mommy.
You wanna come here? Now you wanna be on that side?